Hello, people. Welcome to another episode of JT and Liz. I'm Jasmine T, and this is my co host.
Liz.
A. We are two friends who met abroad while teaching English, but we now live back in the States, unfortunately. But we talk about our lives all the time, our lives abroad all the time, and we thought it would be pretty cool to talk about it with you. So we have today's topic, and that is, have you ever been broke abroad? What did you do? Elizabeth, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so I don't think I've necessarily been broke, but I've had challenging moments. Um, and I know it sounds like I'm reframing, but really, I'm good when it comes to like budgeting and stuff. But this one particular time, it was my first time back in the state visiting home,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really know like, oh wow, the plane ticket's gonna be that much. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And spending money and all of that stuff. So that kind of hit me, and so it was like planning for the trip and really pinching my coins that for me was just like, ooh, like this is getting rough.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were planning a trip back home. You were in South
Yeah.
Korea?
Yeah. So I was in South Korea. I was trying
Okay.
to go back home to visit.
Okay. And were you
Yeah.
broke when you got home or?
So the plane ticket cost like 13, 14, $1,400. And I was like, dang, I know. The thing is like you can't, I only had a month. They only let me know the school a month prior. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
here's your vacation week. So it's
Mm,
not like you could really plan that much ahead when they tell you like short notice.
mm-hmm.
So, and I had to take what I could get. So that's, what I did. So it's like I paid the ticket as soon as I could, but it was like, all right, I'm also going to need spending money, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
also going to I like to pay this off as soon as I can. So it was just like, all right, I was eating ramen for like the whole month. And I
Mm.
had this moment. I don't know if I told you this. So I was like really not buying like much, like really getting seconds, thirds at school lunch to carry me over for dinner. So when I'm eating my ramen, I'm not that hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this one moment I needed a toothbrush, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep using what I have because I really don't want to spend any money on anything. I have this trip coming up, da da da. So I'm brushing my teeth. That's how you the story?
No, but I'm just concerned because we got to toothbrush and I just didn't know we were that bad off. Please
Yeah.
continue.
So I'm brushing my teeth, and the toothbrush it breaks. Right?
Elizabeth, stop.
Listen, it snaps, right? Now look, I don't know what kind of toothbrusher you are, right? But like there's suds everywhere, right? So when it snaps and I try to go get it, it like pushes back further into my throat because like my hand is wet and my mouth is wet. So I'm running around the room because it's like it's here. And every time I try to pinch it, it keeps like slipping back a little further. And I'm like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. But then suddenly like I snap out of it and I just reach in with my other hand because it's dry and I'm able to grab it. I guess that friction of like not wet on wet. And I was able to pull it out. But I remember sitting there afterwards like, whoa, I have to learn the Heimlich maneuver on myself. And so after I came to and just relax, I was like, okay, I think I need to buy toothbrushes. Like some things is okay. So after that, I went out, of course, bought the toothbrush. And it was like, all right, let other areas be where I like pinch coins, not
Mm-hmm.
something like I mean, but who foresees a toothbrush gonna break in their mouth? You know what I'm saying? Like I could not see that was gonna happen.
So let me backtrack because there was a point when you did look at your toothbrush and be like, I do need a new one, right?
So no, what it is there were the toothbrushes from the Jim Jim Bomb because they were only like 50 cents, 500 won, right? Was I not right? It's been a long time.
It has been
500,
long.
you know the
Yeah, because a
coin, right?
thousand is a dollar.
Okay, yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
500. So I was like, all right, let me get it from here instead of like somewhere else where it's going to run me like $2, $3. So I was getting it from there, and I guess because of that, like the plastic is just isn't. I don't know. Maybe I brushed my teeth hard. I don't know, but it snapped.
They have soap on a rope. No, they had the toothpaste on a rope. in the Jim Jabong. Jim Jabong stuff is not meant to be, it's meant for the Jim Jabong only.
I know.
And they probably only think that you're going to use it there and
throw it
it's
away.
disposable.
Yeah.
It's not, hey, take this home. It's not the Daiso. It's not, hey, take this home with you and use it. Yeah, that's wild. You almost died over 50 Cent.
I know. Imagine. That would have been a crazy story, man.
But, you know, I do remember, and I think during one of these episodes, you mentioned being without a phone for a while. Like, remember your Korean co-teacher was just like, you should have came to me or something? So, because that to me was when I thought you were broke.
No,
so the
I
fact
wasn't
that
broke then. Just nobody was helping me. And I was just busy trying to maneuver other aspects of life at the time. Like, the cell phone was really the last thing I was worried about. It was just like, okay, where is it this? Where is it that? Okay, the bank works like this. Like, the cell phone could work. Wait, because I could that can work at home.
Gotcha.
But, yeah. So, yeah, I just didn't have any help.
Gotcha. Okay. It was just the lack of knowing how to go about doing something versus I didn't have. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy.
You don't have any moments similar to that where, well, I mean, not like that, but like, dang, things are rough.
I'm still trying to process your stuff. Yeah. So to give me a second because Elizabeth, I still have to. You could have came to somebody and asked for a toothbrush. Was this when we were at the school?
No.
Oh, this was another spot?
Yeah. This was when I was
This was another school?
Yeah, when I was in Gwangju, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm just like, you were surrounded by people that you could have asked. That's why I was a little concerned.
Oh, yeah, no. This was in Gwangju. And,
gotcha. So you almost died
of course,
alone.
after, when I'm telling the story to, my friends, they're like, dude, I gave you like a few bucks. I'm just
gotcha.
Like, I know, but
gotcha.
Have you been in a similar moment where you just had to pinch coins for a little while?
I did find myself, I hate to say the word broke, but I was, and it was from poor planning.
Okay.
And this was when I went to Poland. Okay. And what happened was I paid for my flight and everything over there. I paid for a month-long Airbnb. Okay. I also knew I was looking for an apartment, so I'm pretty sure like I had everything set aside for that. Right. And then at one point, and I think I was teaching still online. I think I was doing iTutor, but maybe, I don't know. I guess I didn't think how much I needed. So everything was just like, I had spent everything basically. I didn't budget properly.
Yeah. Were you nervous?
Huh?
Were you nervous? Because it's like, wow.
No, because I will say this, because this house at that time was a rental and I was getting rental income. Okay. I knew it was temporary. You know what I mean? Like I knew the date I was getting money again, but it was like a 2-week stretch that I didn't plan for. Okay. And so I was eating very minimal. I was eating tuna. And like frozen pizza from the Carrefour downstairs. Yeah. Like it was.
And you didn't think to like ask like, oh, maybe I could just hit my mom up.
So I think during that time, you kind of, you're already saying, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go get an apartment. I'm going to go do all of this. You know, I had just come back from South Korea. And so now I'm ready to leave again. And so you don't want to, you're making all these plans and then you don't kind of want to admit or say like, hey, I'm doing all of this, but I wasn't prepared or I missed this part. So you kind of just go through it. Right. And I kind of look at the bright side, or I try to look at like a silver lining. I lost weight. So whenever y'all see, historically, if you've ever seen me drop weight, I'm going through financial hardship. Because you know, from last year, from my financial hardship with that mobile home renovation, I lost like 15 pounds. When I was abroad, I didn't want to ask because I was just like, I could suffer through, because I saw the end as well. Right. You know, like I knew, okay, like I'm gonna, but generally between the 12th and the 14th, that money would hit from the rent or whatever. Yeah. It was just, I was out of money on the first.
You know, that
So,
makes me think of something else though. Do you think it's easier to see the end when you're abroad than when you're here in the States? Because I know, like, when I compare, like, moments here in the States where I'm just like, oh, I'm having a rough time.
hmm
Sometimes I feel like it's harder to see, like, it's gonna be all right soon because it just is. Where I don't know, like overseas, sometimes it just feels like everything is just so much of an adventure. Like everything is
hmm
so exciting. Like even when you struggle, it's like, yo, I almost died because the toothbrush was in my mouth. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
gosh, those
I don't
people
know
insane.
if I would have that same enthusiasm
If you
retelling the
almost
story if
died
it
here,
happened here. I don't know.
goodness gracious. Yeah, no. I see what you're saying. My life was just set up differently though. Like I had that passive income. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And also the cost of living was different.
Uh
So
huh.
when money hit there, like 1 USD was almost quadruple their currency.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, we could talk about like the level of financial freedom that I felt, but I
Yeah.
also looked at money differently. I wasn't saving either.
Mm.
So I would say being broke and being broke abroad didn't really shape me. Being broke here
Okay.
it shaped me
Okay. That's
from that
beautiful.
last experience because it just taught me like how how much of a foundation I didn't have.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
how easy it was for one
Mm.
little thing to it wasn't one little thing. I took on a renovation that I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? And I had other things that I had other financial responsibilities. So this
Right.
one straw broke the camel's back in a way.
Right.
But I will say this, I guess like one thing that I definitely learned or that did shape me was experiencing that financial freedom in
Uh huh.
Warsaw because the way I was spending money, like I would when I'd order something to eat, I'd order like 2 meals,
Uh huh.
2, 3 meals. I was always going out. I was always drinking.
It
I
was
was,
like one for later, or just
yeah,
like
one for
try
later.
this, try that, try that. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it wasn't, there was rarely a time where I was just like, ooh, where I was looking at prices.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and that really came from when I had the passive income from this property.
Okay.
Plus, I was doing the mobile homes then too.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
things were, and I'm
Yeah.
still doing it, but when I was doing the mobile homes remotely,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
so that was a different type of income.
Uh huh. Yeah.
I remember the first mobile home, like when I started doing this in 2021, I was sitting in Mexico and like I went home. I made some money and then I ended up going home.
Uh huh.
But I was took carpentry classes like twice.
Mhm.
And the first one I was living in Mexico City and I, like took a bus or whatever down to Valle de Bravo to take the classes. And then I ended up moving back to the States for a bit before going back to Poland. And I flew back to Valle de Bravo for the classes.
Okay.
And the instructor was like, I thought you moved back. I was like, I did. And he looked at me like,
I should raise these prices.
yeah. Because I could tell he was just like, huh. And he was like, what do you do again? Like people was looking at me like, oh, what do you do? And
Yeah.
now they don't look at me like that anymore. But yeah, no, like during that time, especially in Warsaw, like 2022, just you know, going to Berlin for a few days just to do stand up comedy because I could afford to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember like I missed half a comedy show. Like I did my set and I
Uh
didn't
huh.
get to watch the rest of it,
Uh huh.
like the rest of the show or whatnot, because I had to step outside and handle like a phone call. Like I was really juggling and it was
Yeah.
going so well, but it was
Yeah.
like stress for me not actually being there. But
Yeah.
it was just a different quality of life. And now I'm here and like I'm back in the rat race of it all. I'm back on the
Yeah.
hamster wheel of all the BS and
Yeah.
yeah, but I will say for example, when I went to Portugal, when I went to Lisbon to see if that was a place that I wanted to live, right, before moving back to the
Yeah.
US. So if you guys don't know, when I decided that it was time for me to leave Poland, just because the whole residency process, I just didn't see myself like keeping that up. And so I was like, okay, let me check out Lisbon, because I knew that the rental income from here would qualify me for that passive income visa or
Right.
whatnot. So Warsaw definitely had me spoiled with the quality of life. And when I went to neighborhoods that I knew I could afford in Lisbon, I was like, this is a downgrade from what I'm used to. I would have to take, just to get to like the comedy clubs and stuff, we're looking at like a 40-minute commute with public transportation, because I couldn't afford to do the Uber and stuff like that. Like it wouldn't have made any sense.
Right.
Like if I was doing things from a budget standpoint, and I was just like, man, I don't think that I want to really live like this. I could just move back to the States and try to make money faster and be like boots on the ground with my business or whatnot. So Warsaw did definitely spoil me in that way, to where even though Lisbon, that wouldn't have been living broke, but I would have taken a step back in my quality of life for sure.
Right. But in hindsight, though, do you feel like Lisbon would have been better than the States? Like, I know you said it was like a downgrade, but
Yes.
I mean,
Yes. Well, it depends. Because I think you and I talked about before, you knowing very much the ins and outs of the struggle from that renovation, right?
Yeah.
Like, would I have gone through that if I was sitting in Lisbon? Would it have shaped how I look at budgeting and savings now? Would it shape how I look at credit card debt now? You know?
Right.
So
I guess it needed to happen. Everything worked out.
I just don't really want to do the residency, like that long-term stuff.
Yeah.
My goal, y'all, is a golden visa. I want to buy my way in. Like, that's what I want to do. And last time I checked, some of those were like 250,000 euros when it comes to real estate investments and stuff like that. And I am the type of person where you say, okay, if that's what I got to do, I'm going to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Call it delusional if you want to, but that's my mindset.
Sounds like a plan.
So I just got to not lose 20K on mobile home renovations. I got to stick to what I know. So fix, just wholesale. That's what I got to do. You kind of said before how you felt like your challenges, your financial challenges, may not seem that bad compared to other people that you saw struggle.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen some people broke as hell while abroad.
Yeah.
Have you, like, how did that make you feel, or can you recall a certain situation where you were just like, let me help you, or something like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, you see like people post like in groups, what's that site where they ask for people to donate money for their cause?
GoFundMe?
Yeah, like I've seen like people post GoFundMe's, like not just like help me get to Korea, which I don't know if it's just me, but like if you need help to go, you might need help to stay. Is it just me? Do you kind of feel the same way?
I feel like if you need help to go, yes. If you need help to go, you need to sit back and reevaluate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've seen people ask, like I've seen GoFundMe's, like help me keep my whatever, help me stay. Like I've seen stuff like that, like, and then just in other smaller circles, whether it be people ask to borrow money or whatever. I don't think no one ever asked me to borrow money, but I've heard stories of people having to ask other people like for money. Yeah.
Actually, there was a time where I was down bad because I asked you for money and you gave it to me and I paid you back. I just remembered that.
Was it? That was like business related.
No, I
It
can't
was business
remember.
related.
Let me tell you why I asked you.
I now
Because
remember why you asked. I remember why you asked.
I'm scared. What? Can we share it on here? Like, why did I ask?
Well, we could edit.
Okay. Why did I?
I mean, no, because you didn't want to ask your brother.
Oh, no, because I did ask my brother. I legit, something was, I don't know what, I had budgeted something wrong. I also think I was tired of teaching online and maybe I
Uh-huh.
just didn't, I don't know, but I remember being in that apartment in Warsaw and I text my brother on Messenger, on Facebook Messenger, and I said, hey, do you think you could send me? I asked for $20. Do you know he messaged me on another platform and was like, I think your account got hacked?
What?
Because he knew that it couldn't be me asking
Oh,
him for money.
wow.
So
Wow. Wait, how did you come back?
I was
Were
like,
you like, no, that
I
was
was like,
me?
no, it was me. And he is such a freaking Scrooge with his money. And it's fair. He has every right to be, but he is
Mm-hmm.
going to give you like the third degree on what
Mm.
did you do with your money? Why do you need this? Like he doesn't understand. He needs to understand why he should give you $20.
Mm. You got
And
plead your case.
instead of dealing with that, I might have
Uh-huh.
just turned to you.
Okay. But I
And
felt like that's different though, because it wasn't like I can't pay my bills. Like I really remember it being something like business related.
I don't think it was. I think you helped me pay my rent, bruh. I really do think you did. Because I think the $20 for him might have been something else, but I know I asked you for a greater amount.
Yeah, which
And
I
you
don't
helped
even
me.
remember what that was.
It was
But I
something.
mean,
It was more than $20. Damn, I forgot about that. And I'm glad you forgot about it too.
but you know what I do remember? I do remember when you gave the money back. Like you gave it back with interest. I was like, girl,
Did I give it back with
you
interest?
did.
Damn. I didn't mean to do that.
I was like, she had to do that.
Gotcha. Probably because I try not to ask my friends. Yeah, that was 2019. So this was before all the mobile home stuff. That was I remember it's 2019 because I remember the apartment I was in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Dang. I don't know what I had going on. I really don't. So I was broke before. Okay. Because there's even questions we got like, who helped you? How did you handle it? Elizabeth helped me. And I don't know what it is. Like, I think part of me didn't really want to ask like my parents or anything because I
Uh-huh.
guess I didn't really want them to worry. Like, you're
Okay.
all the way there, all the way across the world
Yeah.
with no
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So you don't want the whole, do you think you need to come back home? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it would have went that way too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to worry. And then, like, especially my daddy's side of the family, like that news would have traveled all the way through the network.
Would they ever let you live it down? You know, there's some family members they just won't let you live down. Remember the time when you?
No, but I know
Okay.
it would have always stuck with them.
Okay.
Yeah, that I don't. They wouldn't have said unless I may have. If I would have visited, like say if I come home for a holiday or
Uh
something
huh.
like that, and I talk about going back, they might say, "Well, you sure you want to do that?" Cause you
Okay.
know, but it's not like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's
All right.
not
That's
like a
not bad.
picking at you, like you can't take care of yourself. It's just out of concern. You
Right.
know, I could see that
Okay.
happening for sure.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So, oh,
Goodness.
let me ask you this: do you have any advice that you give to somebody who was planning to go?
I would say save your money. Like
Mm-hmm.
save a lot. Save more than what they tell you you need.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And then, cause I think when I went the first time, I think they said you need to have like $1,000. Like plan to have like $1,000 like your first month until you get paid. Like just to last you, that should be more than enough. I
Mm-hmm.
had a little bit more than that because I was slowly saving for like an apartment. before I was even thinking about Korea. And it was just like me putting a little money here or there
Mm-hmm.
aside. So I didn't have that much with me, but I brought that, which was probably like, I don't know, $3,000, $2,000. So I brought that with me in addition to the 1,000 they had said to bring. So I was like, I had like more than enough. But I would
Mm-hmm.
say bring more than what they tell you should have. And then that first month, don't go blowing all of your money. Like, like you don't need to try everything in the store. You don't need to
Mm-hmm.
be out eating all the time. You don't need to, put extra money on your phone or whatever to call people back home. Like,
Mm-hmm.
relax first, see what you see,
See what
find
you
out how
need.
you're moving naturally,
Mm-hmm.
and then slowly add to that. Like, you don't
Gotcha.
need to be doing all this extra stuff. Like,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah.
What advice would you give somebody?
Oh gosh. Definitely understand your quality of life
Ooh, that's a good one.
and understand also you might need to reevaluate as well. Like just because
Yeah.
you can afford something doesn't mean you need it. And I've
Right.
learned what it means to be wasteful in a way, especially with food,
Mm, yeah.
because now and now I've learned to basically use all my groceries. I feel bad when I throw something away. Like,
Yeah.
dang, I should have put this
Yeah.
fruit in a smoothie, or I should have put it in the freezer or something like
Mm,
that, you
mm-hmm.
know? But
Mm-hmm.
before, um, yeah, I wasn't really thinking like that. And I buy a
Yeah.
lot of clothes and I buy a lot of shoes. I buy a whole bunch of stuff. And
Yeah.
now I'm just like, okay, um, yeah, I'm really just thinking about what I actually
Yeah.
need and what is excess. I mean, I still want
Yeah.
clothes. Don't get me wrong, but I need some actually. But you know what I remember from talking to you
Uh-huh.
at the lunch table back in the day? You
Uh-oh.
put you were talking about sending money home
Yeah.
and saving, and
Yeah.
you were saying numbers that I've never saved before.
Really?
Yeah, and I remember you doing that, and I just was like, "Huh, what's she gonna do with it though?" Like in my mind.
Yeah, that's another thing. Actually, I would say just save. You don't have to know
Mm-hmm.
what you're saving for, but you need to always be sending money back home. So like I would realistically look at, okay, I have my phone bill, this, that, and the third. I like to spend this much on groceries.
Mm-hmm.
I have this much left over. Okay, it's going home.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'll
Interesting.
give myself a little pocket money in case, like, I need to do something extra beside groceries or like, hobbies or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't just sit on that cash. Yeah,
Gotcha. When you said that you were sending it home, like to a bank account or to like your family?
to a bank account.
Okay, I was just making
Yeah,
sure. I was like,
yeah.
dang. Okay, interesting. Yeah, and I know Margaret. She paid off her student loans
Ooh, good
from
for
South Korea.
her. Wow.
Yeah,
She was
like
only there what, a year?
I think she was there a little over a year, and I mean, I don't know what she had, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
really
I knew
good.
she was taking part of her paycheck and putting that towards student loans and stuff.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I
And
think that's people do that. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
I've heard of people doing that.
yeah, I wasn't doing none of that. I was trying
Just
to, I
living.
was working on that makeup thing. Like I was trying to do the business stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think like, oh yeah, you know what? I do wish I would have traveled more. I do
While
wish
you
I
were
would
in
have
South
taken.
Korea.
Yeah, I do wish I would have taken that time
Uh huh.
and like even wherever I was,
Uh huh.
like even in Poland, I do wish I would have done a bit more as well. Um,
Mm.
I think I would have allocated. I wish I would have allocated my money in different ways,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing with me too. Like I've heard like people like say they do certain things. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Like my
Mm-hmm.
one homegirl Sasha, I think it was from her I learned like, yeah, after you pay for your this or your that, you just set aside $500 and send the rest home. And then by the time you want to go on a trip anywhere, you just go
Mm-hmm.
back to that $500 you set aside that you've been sitting and it's been accumulating, and
Mm-hmm.
you have money for a trip whenever you want. And it was like, oh yeah,
Right.
I think I'm gonna take that tip. So you
Right.
hear stuff and then you put it together and you just apply.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't have a plan.
And that's okay because that happens sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
That happens
Yeah.
sometimes too. So
Yeah. Okay. All right, girl. I think we can probably wrap this one up. But listen, I do want to say, because this is probably going to be like episode number 6 for us. We really want to appreciate y'all for watching. This is definitely new for both of us. I've never been a co-host. You've never been a co-host, right? We're finding our flow. We really are. Some people have messaged and, said, have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? And we definitely appreciate that feedback. And hopefully we'll find our rhythm or whatnot. Is there anything you want to say or?
Well, just in general, like, I hope this video's been, like, inspiring to people, like, and even still encourage you to travel, because still, like, if you're going to travel, if you're going to struggle, you're going to struggle everywhere. You're going to struggle home. Why not struggle in another country and, like, learn a little about yourself?
You are right. So when you said that you were about to choke on the toothbrush, but you were abroad, so it made it better. Yeah, if you're going to struggle, might as well go out there and struggle in another language.
I mean, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you're going to have struggles. Like, they're going to happen. So no matter how much you prep, they might still occur. It's just a matter of, like, how you look at the situation, So, yeah, I hope it's just inspiring for someone.
All right. I agree. Couldn't say it better myself. All right. Listen, we want to hear from y'all. If y'all got any struggle stories, please drop them below. We want to hear from you. And we also have social media, so they'll be posted at the bottom. Elizabeth runs BlueSky, because I don't really understand what that is. But we also are on TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye. All right. Yay. No, it's just bothersome because I was thinking about this whole topic and I completely forgot about asking you for money.
You're still on that?
Yeah. And it's going to stay in here because they need to know. So sorry.